I want you to picture two apartments, same city, same zip code, almost identical rent, about $1,800 a month each. Now, step into the first one. This apartment belongs to someone earning around $85,000 a year. That's a solid income, above average for most of the country. And walking in, everything looks the part. There's an 85-inch TV mounted on the wall, the kind you'd see in a sports bar. A sectional sofa that seats 8 people, even though this person lives alone. The kitchen counter is lined with appliances, an air fryer, a pasta maker, a juicer, a panini press, most of them still wrapped in their original packaging. The closet is so packed that the doors don't fully close, shoes stacked in boxes, jackets still wearing their tags, bags that have never seen the outside of this apartment. And then there's the second bedroom. It's not a guest room. It's not an office. It's a holding zone, a graveyard of purchases, a dusty Peloton in the corner, an electric guitar that was played twice, a box of books from an Amazon order 3 years ago still sealed. Now here's the part that doesn't show up in the decor. Every time this person opens their banking app, something tightens in their chest. Not because anything is wrong on paper, the bills are paid, the lights are on. But there's a number that never seems to grow. A savings account sitting at $400, a credit card balance that goes down a little, then right back up. And this quiet, persistent feeling that one unexpected expense, a car repair, a medical bill, a layoff, would send everything sideways. Because despite earning $85,000 a year, this person is effectively living paycheck to paycheck. Now let's walk across the hall into the second apartment. This one belongs to someone earning $48,000 a year. That's about $37,000 less annually than their neighbor. And the moment you walk in, you feel something different. There's breathing room. The furniture is clean and simple. A modest couch, a 50-inch TV that works perfectly well, a dining table with 4 chairs. The kitchen has what gets used: a good pan, a coffee maker, a knife set. The counters are clear. The closet has maybe 30 items in it, but every single one of them gets worn. The second bedroom? It's actually a bedroom. Simple bed, a lamp, a nightstand. But here's where the real story is. This person opens their banking app with a calm that most people never feel around money. They have 8 months of living expenses saved in a high-yield savings account. Every single payday, $300 moves automatically into a Roth IRA. Another $200 goes into a brokerage account. And their credit card? Paid in full every month. 0 balance, 0 interest. Same building, same neighborhood, same rent. But one person earning $48,000 has more financial security than someone earning $85,000. Let that sit for a moment. Because this isn't a story about income, and it's not a story about being cheap or depriving yourself. It's a story about something most people completely miss, and something nobody talks about enough. It's about the hidden relationship between the stuff we own and the money we never seem to keep. The first person isn't reckless. They're not out gambling or making obviously bad decisions. They're just doing what most of us are quietly taught to do. Earn more, spend more, upgrade when you can, and keep up with the life that looks successful from the outside. But the second person figured something out early. They realized that owning less doesn't mean living less. It means living on purpose. And when you live on purpose, something powerful starts to happen. You create financial space, the kind of breathing room that most high earners never experience, no matter how many raises they get. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the minimalist money rules that quietly separate people who always seem to have money from people who never seem to keep it, regardless of what they earn. And let me be clear from the start. This is not about living like a monk. It's not about never enjoying your money or denying yourself the things you love. It's about understanding one simple but deeply important idea. Everything you own costs you twice. The first cost is the one everyone sees. It's the price tag, the number on the receipt, the charge on your credit card statement. You see it, you acknowledge it, and then it fades from memory. But the second cost? Most people never calculate it, and it's often the one that quietly drains your wealth for years. Let's break it down. The first hidden cost is space. Every item you own takes up physical space, and in most American cities and towns, you are paying for that space every single month. Whether you rent or own, every square foot of your home has a dollar value attached to it. Think about the average one-bedroom apartment in a mid-size U.S. city. Let's say you're paying $1,600 a month in rent. That's roughly $2 per square foot per month. Now that treadmill sitting in the corner of your bedroom, it takes up about 10 square feet. That means you're effectively paying $20 a month, $240 a year, just to store a piece of equipment you stopped using in February. That's not a fitness problem. That's a financial one. The second hidden cost is maintenance. Let me give you a perfect example. A boat. Now, buying a boat sounds like a dream. Weekends on the water, summer memories, total freedom. And for some people, it genuinely is worth it. But let's look at what a boat actually costs after you buy it. There's the marina slip fee, anywhere from $200 to $1,000 a month depending on where you live. There's the annual insurance, easily $1,500 to $3,000 a year. There's winterization, engine maintenance, cleaning supplies, registration fees, and the near inevitable repair that shows up at the worst possible time. And on top of all that, the average boat owner in America takes their boat out just 18 days per year. 18 days. So you're paying thousands of dollars annually for 18 days of use. That's before you even account for what you originally paid to buy it. And that same math applies to motorcycles, RVs, vacation properties, home gyms, and dozens of other things we buy with the best intentions. The third hidden cost is mental energy. This one is harder to put a number on, but it's very real. Every single thing you own makes a quiet demand on your attention. You have to clean it, organize it, maintain it, find a place for it, and occasionally worry about it. And whether you're conscious of it or not, that mental load adds up over time. Research from Princeton University's Neuroscience Institute found that physical clutter competes for your attention, increases stress, and makes it genuinely harder to focus. Other studies have linked cluttered living environments to elevated cortisol levels. That's your body's primary stress hormone. In plain terms, your stuff might actually be stressing you out, not in a dramatic, obvious way, but in a slow, quiet, persistent way that affects your mood, your focus, and your decisions every single day. And the fourth hidden cost, and this is the biggest one, is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is simply what you give up when you choose one thing over another. Let's say you spend $4,000 putting together a home gym, weights, a bench, a squat rack, a mat. It feels like a smart investment. You're going to get fit, save on a gym membership, work out from home. Great intentions. But let's say that instead, you had invested that $4,000 into a basic index fund and left it alone for 25 years, earning an average annual return of 10%, which is roughly the historical average of the S&P 500. That $4,000 would grow to over $43,000. $43,000 from one purchase decision. Now, I'm not saying never buy a home gym. I'm saying understand what you're actually choosing when you buy it. Because every dollar you lock into possessions is a dollar that isn't compounding, growing, and building your future. When you truly understand that, the way you think about buying things starts to change permanently. So how do minimalists actually think about spending? What are the mental rules that help them make better decisions without having to sit down and do math every time they open their wallet? Let me walk you through them. The first rule is called cost per use. Instead of asking yourself, "Can I afford this?" which is almost always the wrong question, ask yourself, "How many times will I realistically use this?" Then do the math. A pair of running shoes that costs $120 and gets used 4 times a week, 50 weeks a year, works out to about 60 cents per use over a full year. That's a great value. A stationary bike that costs $800 and gets used enthusiastically for 6 weeks before becoming a very expensive clothes hanger. That might end up costing you $40 per use or more. The price tag tells you almost nothing. The cost per use tells you everything. And here's the powerful part. Once you start thinking this way, most impulse purchases die on the spot. Because the honest answer to "how many times will I actually use this" is usually far less flattering than the excited answer you give yourself in the store. The second rule is what I call the disappearance test. Look around your home and pick something, anything. Then ask yourself honestly, if this disappeared tomorrow, would I go out and replace it? Not, would I be annoyed? Not, would I notice? But genuinely, would I go buy another one? For most people, the answer to that question, applied to most of their belongings, is no. And that's a powerful realization. Because if you wouldn't replace it, you don't really value it. You just own it, out of habit, out of inertia. Because getting rid of things takes effort, and it feels like waste. But minimalists understand that holding on to things you don't actually value isn't free. It costs you space, maintenance, mental energy, and opportunity cost. Every day. Quietly. So they let things go. And something unexpected happens when people do this consistently. Life genuinely feels lighter. Their space feels bigger without spending $1 on square footage. Their mind feels clearer. Decisions, including financial ones, get easier because there's less noise. The third rule is probably the one that costs people the most money without them realizing it. Don't upgrade things that already work. This one is subtle because it doesn't feel like a bad habit. It feels like staying current, staying relevant, enjoying the fruits of your hard work. Your phone works fine, but a new model just dropped and it has a better camera. Your car runs perfectly, but it's 4 years old and you're a little bored of it. Your laptop does everything you need, but there's a sleeker, faster version available. Your couch is comfortable, but you've seen a nicer one and you're tired of the color. None of these feel like irresponsible purchases. They feel like reasonable upgrades, earned treats. But let's look at what this habit actually costs over time. The average American buys a new smartphone every 2 to 3 years, even when their current one works fine. The average upgrade cost after trade-in is around $400 to $600. Over a working lifetime of 40 years, that's potentially $8,000 to $12,000 spent on phone upgrades alone for a device that was never broken. Apply that same pattern to cars. The average car payment in America is now over $700 per month. And to furniture, to appliances, to wardrobes, and you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime that went toward replacing things that worked instead of building toward things that matter. Minimalists follow a simple rule. If it works, it stays. Boredom is not a valid reason to spend money. And when you internalize that, your financial life starts to look radically different. Now let's talk about the systems side of minimalist money, because mindset alone isn't enough. You also need structures that make the right behavior easy and the wrong behavior harder. The first system is friction. Human behavior almost always follows the path of least resistance. If spending is easy, you'll spend. If saving is easy, you'll save. The trick is to design your environment so that the default behavior is the one that helps you. Practically, this means a few things. Remove your saved card details from every online shopping site. That one extra step of having to get up and find your card kills a surprising number of impulse purchases. Studies on online shopping behavior have found that saved payment information increases purchase completion rates by up to 30%. Removing it works in reverse. Delete shopping apps from your phone. If you have to actively go to a browser, search for a site, and check out manually, you've introduced enough friction to stop most unplanned purchases. And implement a waiting rule for anything non-essential. Not an impulse rule, a waiting rule. Give yourself 72 hours before buying anything that wasn't planned. Not to talk yourself out of it necessarily, but to give the initial excitement time to settle so you can make a clearer decision. Most purchases that feel urgent at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday feel completely optional by Friday morning. The second system is automation. This is the single most powerful financial habit available to anyone at any income level. Set up your savings and investments to move automatically on payday, before the money ever lands in your checking account where it can be spent. This is called paying yourself first, and it works because it removes the decision entirely. You don't have to choose to save, it just happens. The money moves before your brain has a chance to find something to spend it on. Even a small amount, $50 a payday, $100 a month, invested consistently over time, becomes something significant. $100 a month invested at a 10% average annual return for 30 years grows to over $200,000 without you doing anything after the initial setup. The system does the work. You just have to build it once. The third system is awareness through counting. This sounds almost too simple, but it's genuinely powerful. Pick one category of things you own: clothes, shoes, gadgets, kitchen items, and count them. Write the number down. When you know you own 43 shirts, buying a 44th suddenly feels different. The desire doesn't disappear, but the clarity changes everything. You're not adding something you're missing. You're adding to an already full collection of something you apparently don't need more of. Awareness is the beginning of discipline, and counting creates awareness instantly. The fourth system is try before you buy. Before committing to any significant purchase, especially anything related to a hobby or lifestyle, rent it, borrow it, or trial it first. Thinking about getting into photography? Rent a camera for a weekend before spending $1,000 on equipment? Thinking about taking up paddleboarding? Rent a board a few times before buying one? Thinking about a standing desk? Try one at a co-working space before investing in a full setup for your home office. Because the truth about most major purchases is this: they feel exciting at the beginning, and then they quietly fade into the background of your life. The novelty wears off, the passion cools, and what's left is an expensive item taking up space and mental energy. Testing before buying gives you real information instead of imagined enthusiasm, and it saves you from turning your home into what I call a museum of abandoned interests. Now let's go a level deeper, because there's a concept that most people never fully understand until they've already made several expensive mistakes. It's called the lifestyle multiplier. Every significant purchase you make doesn't just cost what you paid for it. It creates an entire ecosystem of follow-on expenses that can last for years. Let me give you some examples. You buy a house. Now you need furniture to fill the extra rooms, lawn equipment for the yard, a washer and dryer if they're not included, window treatments, a snowblower if you're in the Midwest, maybe a guest room set for when family visits, a tool set for home repairs, possibly a second car because the location requires it, homeowner's insurance, property taxes, an HOA fee, an emergency fund specifically for home repairs, because the rule of thumb is to budget 1 to 2% of your home's value per year for maintenance. On a $350,000 home, that's $3,500 to $7,000 a year just in anticipated repairs. The house was one purchase. What came with it was a complete ecosystem. You buy a dog. A wonderful decision for millions of people. But let's look at the full cost. Annual vet visits, vaccinations, flea and tick prevention, easily $600 to $1,000 a year for a healthy dog. Food, another $500 to $1,000. Boarding or pet sitting when you travel, $50 to $100 a night. Grooming, toys, treats, a bed, a crate. And if anything goes wrong medically, a single emergency vet visit can run anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 or more. The American Pet Products Association estimates the average dog owner spends around $1,500 to $4,000 per year on their pet, depending on size and health. Again, one decision, a whole ecosystem. Now, I want to be clear. Houses are often great investments. Dogs bring genuine joy and companionship that has real value. I'm not saying don't buy them. I'm saying understand the full picture before you decide, because when you see the whole ecosystem up front, you make a much more informed choice, and you won't be blindsided by the follow-on costs that catch most people completely off guard. The minimalist question before any major purchase isn't just, can I afford this? It's, can I afford everything that comes with this? Let's talk now about one of the deepest and most important concepts in this entire video: defining enough. Because here's the thing, most financial advice never addresses directly. If you don't define what enough looks like for you, your lifestyle will expand to fill every dollar you earn, automatically, unconsciously. without you ever making a conscious decision to let it. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. As your income rises, your spending rises with it. The apartment gets upgraded, the car gets nicer, the vacations get more expensive, the restaurants get fancier, and somehow, no matter how much more you earn, it feels like just enough to cover the life you've built. This is why there are people earning $200,000 a year who feel financially stressed. Not because $200,000 isn't a lot of money, it objectively is, but because their lifestyle has expanded to consume all of it, and often more, through debt. And it's why there are people earning $50,000 a year who feel financially free, because they decided early what enough looked like for them, and they stopped there. Defining enough means getting intentional about a few key things. What kind of home do you genuinely need to be comfortable? Not the home that signals success to other people, the home that actually works for your life. What does your ideal transportation look like? A reliable car that gets you where you need to go safely and comfortably? Or a status symbol that costs you $700 a month plus insurance plus maintenance? What experiences actually bring you lasting joy versus short-term excitement? When you answer those questions honestly, not based on what anyone else is doing but based on your actual values, you arrive at your number, your version of enough, and that number becomes your finish line. Everything you earn above that line, that's no longer lifestyle money, that's freedom money. That's the fuel that builds real, lasting financial independence. And that brings us to the final and most important idea in this video. Wealth is not about what you own. Wealth is about what you can choose. Think about what that actually means in practical terms. Can you quit a job that's making you miserable without your life falling apart? That's wealth. Can you take 3 months off to care for a sick parent without going into debt? That's wealth. Can you say yes to an opportunity, a trip, a career change, a new venture, because your finances give you room to move? That's wealth. Can you make decisions based on what you actually want instead of what you can barely afford? That's wealth. None of that has anything to do with what your apartment looks like, or what car is in your driveway, or how impressive your wardrobe is, or what your friends think when they walk into your home. Real wealth is invisible to most people, and it's built quietly, not through bigger paychecks, but through a consistent, intentional gap between what you earn and what you spend. When that gap exists, even a small one, and you invest it consistently over time, something remarkable happens. Your money starts making money, and eventually, your money is working harder than you are. That's the point most people never reach, not because they don't earn enough, but because their lifestyle leaves no gap. So I want to leave you with one question, not a complicated financial question, not a question about interest rates or investment strategies or tax optimization. Just this. Do you want to own your life or spend it maintaining things you don't truly need? Because the math is actually simple. Spend less than you earn. Invest the difference consistently. Define what enough looks like and stop there. Let time do the heavy lifting. That's it. That's the whole strategy. It's not glamorous, it doesn't make for exciting headlines, it won't go viral on social media. But it works. Quietly, reliably, and for everyone who chooses it. And the peace that comes with it? That's the one thing money can actually buy.